Good evening. We'll open the special meeting for the Union County Water and Sewer District Board of Governors for June 17, 2019. Item number 1, appointment of deputy finance officers. And Jeff, if you would help us with that, please, sir. That's it.
The first item you have on your district agenda tonight is the approval of deputy finance officers. In North Carolina, you're required to have a finance officer, which for the Water and Sewer District is myself, but to help with contracts and to speed things along, or in my absence, you would typically appoint what are referred to as deputy finance officers, and they have the ability to pre-audit contracts. That's their primary function. So what we have before you tonight is to appoint 2 of my staff, our controller, Debbie Cox, and one of our senior accountants, Beverly Lyles, to be deputy finance officers for the district. And this will empower them to provide a pre-audit to any existing contracts as they come in for the district. I'm still in accordance with the pre-audit statutes and everything else. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Have any questions? Okay. Is there a motion to appoint Beverly Lyles, senior accountant, and Deborah Cox, controller, to serve as deputy finance officers in order to pre-audit obligations for the Union County Water and Sewer District?
I make the motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have the Union County Water and Sewer Districts FY 2020 operating budget. Mark, if you...
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, the proposed FY 2020 operating budget for the Water and Sewer District provides a balanced and physically sustainable financial plan for the district. The total recommended operating budget for FY 2020 is $51,786,599 for district operations and internal transfers. Additional information is provided in the resolution that's attached in your packet. As required by state statute, a public hearing was conducted and public input received on June the 3rd, 2019, and we asked that you adopt the 2020 proposed budget and budget resolution at this time.
I make a motion to adopt the Union County Water and Sewer District proposed FY 2020 operating budget resolution.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 3, the Deal Road Ventures Water and Sewer Extension Agreement reimbursement. Jeff, you... All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Deal Road Ventures Water and Sewer Extension Agreement reimbursement, at times when the county does extension agreements, typically that involves payment to us for that capacity and the extensions. But in this case, it was beneficial to the county for this project to be upsized. And at that time, then we paid the developer for the cost of that upsizing. So when a contract has to be paid out to the developer, it must have a pre-audit and budget. In this case, this contract was not pre-audited. So what you have in front of you tonight allows for that pre-audit and authorizes that payment.
Okay. And the amount?
It is $57,757.61.
Have a motion to adopt Amendment 1.
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item number 4, Water and Sewer District Capital Reserve Fund. Jeff?
Absolutely. So if you remember, the system development fees under the general statute have to be placed into a capital reserve fund. And what that means is that when a capital reserve fund is established by the Board of Governors in this case, that funding can only be used for the stated purpose of that capital reserve. So under the statutes related to the system development fees, it requires that the county put those specific funds from those developments and those projects into that fund to only then be used on related projects. So by doing this is the first leg of that transaction. You're putting the system development fees that the county has received through 2019 into a capital reserve fund to be used for, there's a list of projects attached, but to be used for those specific projects. That funding cannot be used for any other projects. So once the county either expends that or borrows money to build those projects, then that funding will be shifted to the county to pay for those projects. But this is the first leg of that transaction, and by establishing and setting aside that money to the capital reserve, those funds are then committed for that purpose.
And how much is that?
The total is for $4.7 million.
Okay. All right.
Where's the list of projects?
It is attached to
13?
page, let's see, page 16 to 17. And Commissioner, the way these projects are chosen is when the funding comes in, the engineers review that and the location and the related capacity building projects, and they take that, they designate those funds as they come in for that specific project related to those, to the construction projects, or the development in this case.
Mr. Manager, as I understand it, if a more urgent requirement that would meet the same criteria that we could fund comes up, if the money's not been committed, we can't change it. Is that right?
Well, this is a specific reserve fund.
I know, but
Based on
if
this.
something that would fall under approval that could be paid from this reserve fund.
That you could amend this?
Yes, I would defer that question to Mr. Gates.
That, I think you'd have to go back through the same process of identifying and drawing a bright line, if you will, from the point where you took the system development fee and the benefit and the capacity built for that project related to that funding. So I think you could amend it as needed, but I think you still have to go then back through that criteria, that test, to determine that that project applies. So
That's what I'm saying. If
right,
something
it has to
comes up-
still meet the kind of the criteria, this specific case for a system development fee project related to the funding taken for that.
For example, if we needed to shift water from 12 Mile Creek to Catawba River to accelerate expansion there, we could or could not?
I think we'd have to look at that in specific and talk to the engineers about it, because this list is derived from the engineers.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you specifically. I think we'd have to take that on a case-by-case basis.
And I guess that's just from what we heard last Monday about anything that could happen, maybe a need to accelerate that water project. I just don't want to get locked in that we handcuff ourselves that we could.
Well, you will be locked in to a certain degree because that's the nature of the capital reserve fund, but I think as long as you follow that process, you can amend the capital reserve fund as needed, but you still have to follow the statutes related to system development fees. Those projects still have to meet the benchmarks related to those.
And that goes back to my original comments. As long as it meets the requirements, the Board of Governors could redirect it.
That's correct. I believe that'd be the case, yes.
Sir?
I believe that would be the case, specifically on the individual pots of money related to those specific projects.
Yes. This is actually moving it to that pot today.
Right, this restricts the money, and then it would take another action then to do that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 5 is the approval of the minutes from of the special meeting of June 3rd, 2019. Draft minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Governors of Union County Water and Sewer District have been provided to the Board of Governors for review and approval.
Motion approved.
Okay. Motion, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is a move to adjourn the special meeting of the Union County Water and Sewer District. All in favor?
Aye.